So, one of the most common questions I get every day, 7 days a week from our agents, at least one is I have a new buyer and I'm getting together a buyer agency agreement. Which one should I use? I see two on our website and in dot loop. So, in this video today, I wanted to explain that what I explain every day, our recommendations of which one to use and why we have two that are in our document library. Because that's the other question I get is why do we have two? Well, there's a reason for those because there's different recommendations for different ones. So I'm going to share my screen so you at least could see the two. And here, share screen. There we go. So hopefully you could see that. So one side of the screen, I have our buyer's agency that is a short form, as I refer to it as a short form, that our attorney reviewed and approved. And on the right side, I have the recommended Ohio Association of Realtors exclusive buyer representation agreement that just was updated in January of 2025. So I'll start with why do we have two? Because I get that question. And next one was which one do we recommend? And there's different answers for those. So why do we have two? One, we have the Ohio Association of Realtors suggested one for reasons being that our Ohio Association of Realtors board suggested we use this because they've had their attorneys review it. They suggest using this one because it covers a lot of things. But as you could see from that, it could be pretty daunting. It could be pretty intimidating to a buyer and agent when they see all that. But luckily, the revision that just came cut out a page or a page and a half. So, excuse me. So this, with this long form, the reason why we suggest this form in areas is because it's what the Ohio Association of Realtors suggests. If there was any type of legal action that you, as an agent or us, we would want to take against a buyer for breaking this contract, this would help us protect our legal interests the most because it is the most inclusive and has the most information, the most explanations, and goes over and above what is legally required by the state of Ohio to be in a buyer contract. So I would suggest to agents that say, hey, I have a buyer that I might would spend a lot of time with, a lot of advice, and I might, if someday if they break our contract, take legal action against a buyer, which we highly do not recommend, but there could be scenarios. This is the best one to use. But there are negatives to it. It is long. It is intimidating. There's a lot of lines, a lot of spaces to fill out. The more pages, the more lines, the more explanation can scare your buyers. And that's why we have the short version, which I highly recommend first. I recommend the short version first. And this is what we did with our attorneys in our office is to boil it down to what is minimally required by the state of Ohio law to put in a buyer agreement. So we could get it down to one page that's very easy to read and very palatable to a potential new buyer and very easy to understand. So in this short form, as you could see, one page, pretty much very few lines you have to fill out other than really it's agreement start. It says the name of the buyer, it starts on what date, ends on what date, and what your commission is, and that's it. There's really four things to fill out. That's it. The name of the buyer, the right here, the start date, end date, and what percentage you want to make. And one additional line, additional terms. Similar to this on the right side, there are additional terms and additional provisions. Not too sure what's the difference there is. So I don't, it's about the same to me. But some agents ask, what kind of things would buyers ask for in there? Now, if you have a buyer that is very intimidated, because the first thing I say to all agents, these contracts don't force buyers to pay us. Let me say that again. Buyer's agency agreement. These do not force a buyer to pay us. Both contracts state basically are saying that the buyer is just required to make sure we get paid by somebody. Could be the seller, could be a third party, could be their Uncle Joe, it could be anybody can pay us on behalf of the buyer, but they have to make sure they pay us, or the buyer could pay us if they want. Could be a combination of the buyer and the seller, a buyer and a third party. It could be more than that. But the point of it is that a lot of agents I want to explain is that when explaining to your buyer, you're not explaining this is not for the guarantee you have to pay me. This is you have to make sure you have to guarantee me that somebody pays me, and most often it's the seller anyways. So the point I was getting to, and I won't keep you too long today about this, is the additional terms. If you have a buyer that is really says, I only want to buy a house that the seller will pay you. I don't have the extra money. I don't want to pay you the money. I want the seller to pay you. I'm only going to buy a house if the seller compensates you for this or pays you for this. You can write that in the additional terms. Buyer requests seller to pay buyer's agent commission of whatever percent you put on there, or it can just say something like that, or contact me, I'll help you walk you through it. The point of what this last bit I'm talking about is to help you make your buyers feel more comfortable so they know that they are in control. They're never going to put themselves in a position of buying a house and then all of a sudden presenting an offer. The seller says, I'm not paying your agent whatever amount or part of the amount or whatever. The buyer doesn't have to continue to go through with the contract and buy that house without approving it, if you follow me there. So in short, today, I just want to give you an example because I come across this every day, at least one agent asking me this question of which one to use, or they've just went onto our documents, pulled one, and didn't know about the other one because they just hit the first one or thought that we had to use the other one. You can use either. You get to choose. That's why we have the choice. Again, what I usually recommend, the short version, because it's easier to read, it explains things. But if you feel that you want that more explanation and you want the Ohio Association of Realtors logo that backs you up, that helps you show to your buyers that this is approved by Ohio Realtors, our state of Ohio Board of Realtors, is this is a suggested form, so it makes it have more clout. That helps too. But you get to choose that. That's up to you. But I'm here to help guide you through that. So that's all for today on this video about buyers, the two different buyers agent compensation. These are the most common ones. We do have a few other ones the Ohio Association of Realtors recommends, like for different other things. Please, we have those because they're a choice too, but these are the two most commonly used ones that you have in there. Now, separately to this, then I'll leave you today, is the buyer's agent compensation agreement that goes with offers. That's different. I'm not going to talk about that, but reach out to me. This is just a buyer agency agreement that is what you use before you write an offer. The buyer agent compensation agreement is something you write with an offer. We can discuss that one-on-one at any time when writing an offer. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching and have a great day and hope to see many of you very soon. Bye-bye.